Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
I'm Kara.
So, everybody, we apologize that we were not able to record last time because of technical difficulties and just life in general because of stupid Home Depot and a washing machine situation. We were just not able to get together to record. But we are here this week instead with you, and we have a new episode. So, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Kara, do you have anything to add? Kara, go ahead. Kara has a story to tell us about something that happened after we got back from our trip to Colorado towards the end of October near Halloween. So what's been going on, Kara? What happened?
Well, my husband, Mario, he told me the other day, he was like, hey, have you been seeing the shadow people like I've been seeing in our apartment? Which is a really scary thing to ask someone. Especially us. I can't even imagine. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I just saw a shadow person when I was coming upstairs from doing my laundry, and this has been a recurring thing. And apparently he saw one also in our door while we were sleeping, so I'm like, that's great. So there was that. So I thought, but it started happening after we got back from our trip. It's like it was never really a thing. And he grew up in like a haunted house, so he's kind of like aware that there was like some sort of energy shift or something. Because he said it kind of felt like how the house he grew up in, because he didn't really have like hostile ghosts, but like a lot of residual kind of stuff, because it was like an older house. So it's a little interesting.
So
but
what happened?
We haven't had a thing yet. We saged the house. Well, I saged when I came back, but I saged it again after he brought that up, because I was like, oh hell no.
Well,
we did leave for a bit.
I was going to say, I at least was smart enough to sage myself as soon as I got home that night. I went outside. Well,
Elizabeth's been having new ghost activity in her house as well, because she lives in an old Victorian house.
Really? What?
Yes, because I was telling Elizabeth about Mario's shadow friend.
Right.
And then, Elizabeth's like, Elizabeth had an item that they were using. I'm not disclosing what item, because it's a little crazy.
That's fine.
But they left the room. They was sitting on the bed, and then they left the room, and they came back, and this object was just missing, and they cannot find this object. But then it's just gone. So that was pretty crazy that the ghost took an item like that.
Still hasn't turned back up?
No.
No, are you serious?
Yes.
That is creepy.
Elizabeth had issues with the ghost taking things, but then
yeah, she told us that.
Yeah.
We were keys and stuff.
But it was crazy the item that in particular, because it was a larger item too.
Right. And she's talked about her wedding ring missing before. Remember
that was one thing.
Yeah.
Similar that happened.
Huh.
So we don't know if it's
crazy.
Just extra energy going on or whatever.
Or new energy. Maybe she brought back a hitchhiker from our little excursion.
Maybe. I just got the goose back, so maybe the goose was giving her a little goose haunting.
Oh, dear God. You got that damn goose. Oh, God. So tell people what the goose is. Tell people about the story about the goose.
Well, there was this little store when we were at Estes Park, where we were just walking around checking out the little shops, and there was this really weird shop where a lot of the stuff they sold was it felt like you were in a store in the 90s or maybe something like that. You know what I mean?
Like the 80s, yeah.
Yeah, the 80s. It was old. All the stuff, it was brand new stuff, but
it was old and dated
stuff.
And, yeah.
But it was still brand new, so it was really I felt like I was on a set of a movie.
Yeah,
it was set in weird. The 80s. Yeah. It was bizarre.
And
there was no newer stuff either. It was all just older stuff in the store.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to check it out, it was the Estes Park 5 and Dime was the name of the store that we were talking about. I'll tell you what, though, that store, me and Elizabeth, I had to leave. Yeah, it had very weird vibes in there, and I started getting nauseous. It was a lot. There was a lot of energy in that, and it wasn't good energy either. So me and Elizabeth had to leave because we couldn't take the weird feelings.
Whatever was giving you.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on in there. But check that store out if you're in Estes Park. I mean, it's weird. It's like a time warp, man. It's like you're going back in time.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
It was so weird. And they had like lots of Christmas stuff in there and that. It was just strange.
The Christmas stuff. And then I had like this little ceramic goose I got.
Yeah, Kara got some goose. It's probably
It was like
haunted,
$3.
Yeah, I mean the prices were.
Yeah, the prices were really good. It like felt
right.
like it was still from the 80s. The
right.
pricing there.
But the products were a little questionable, so I wouldn't buy any food from there because it's probably.
Yeah, I don't know about food, but like all the trinkets were kind of cool.
Yeah, it was like going back.
They also
in
had
time
it was like Halloween decorations from like the 80s. It was bizarre.
Yeah, it was really weird. Yes, definitely strange.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then I'm sure everyone's seen people talking about the declassification or whatever about the UFO hearing.
Oh God, yeah.
Or sorry, the UAP hearing.
Yep.
I would like to stand corrected, as they do not refer to as UFOs, just UAPs.
And about how they're real, and we all knew that.
I mean,
it was just finally time for them to admit it.
I'm just like, what is the end game though? With like, what is the point of these like hearings?
I don't know. And what's the point of like not being honest and just telling us the truth? I mean, you've had.
I mean, they can't say a lot of them are. At least from the parts I was watching of it, a lot of the guys trying to come forward, they can't say anything, and they're trying to protect whistleblowers essentially.
Right, but
like because that's what they want. They want more people to come forward, but the people can't come forward because of like the NDAs they sign and whatnot. And they want a program that will help better protect these people because the general public should be aware of what's going on. That was the consensus I got from the parts I was watching. I didn't watch the whole thing, but
I mean, we already know there's aliens among us. I mean, come on.
Well, they said there was also underwater aliens.
What?
That was also a part of that.
Really?
There were not aliens, but unidentified phenomenon going on under the water. Like they found like crafts they cannot, to their knowledge, like determine where the origin of the like underwater crafts are coming from.
So it's like Aquaman, basically, is what you're telling me.
I'm like, so I'm not saying they could be like something living underneath our waters, which is possible.
Okay, well, that's even scarier than just aliens.
Yeah, no, it was kind of crazy.
Seriously.
There's a reason it was getting a lot of press because it was pretty wild.
I was gonna say, yeah, I know, man. Everybody was eating that up with a spoon and sugar on top. But yeah, oh my gosh. So me and Mrs. Alm went to a psychic, it wasn't a psychic convention. It was like a it's called Victory of Light, and basically it's all the metaphysical stuff and auras and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that was really interesting and entertaining. Although I did buy a new pack of tarot cards, so at least something good came of it. Yeah, I almost went to a medium, but it was like, I don't know, I felt it was like a little hokey because like you only got like so many minutes. Does that make sense? And there were so many people there that I found it kind of hard to believe that they were able to channel. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't quite as intimate enough for it
to feel real. And it was so bizarre. Like, every single person that was there, they all were doing tarot cards. And I'm like, okay, some of this, I'm like, this is just like me reading tarot cards. You know what I mean? It wasn't like somebody that knew what they were doing type thing. And I'm like, yeah. So we didn't end up doing any of that. But we did find a store that we're going to have to go visit when you come down here. In Milford that has all that stuff, and they do have like a medium, and they have like a psychic and all that on staff that is supposed to be more legit, and it's in a more intimate setting, and you don't have 50,000 people walking around, you know what I mean, walking around you, and you could like hear them telling people things, and some of them like you could just, by the way they were talking, you just knew they were like trying to fish for answers and stuff, and I was like,
that's why I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a little weird. But, I mean, it was kind of cool, though. Like, all the different stuff that's out there. And I think I've seen every shape, size, color, and, of rocks that you could possibly see. Because there's, like, 50 rock vendor booths there and stuff. But it was interesting. And then we went to this one lady that was supposedly supposed to tell us how to speak to our spirit guides / angels. And I'm not going to say her name because she's pretty well known, I suppose. I don't know. But so we go to this, session because she's supposed to help us connect with them or, know how to communicate with them. And we get in there and all it ended up being was a big spiel about her business and about how if we're like a corporation or whatever, and we want to get in touch with our spirit guide to help us gain money and to gain insight into our company, and that we can reach out to her and she can set that up for us and all this. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what your thing said that you were supposed to be doing. We left like within 10 minutes. I was like, this is weird and hokey, and it's just like a big money grab by her. And she wanted us to sign up to get text messages from her. And did we want to become a medium? And, she can teach us how to be one. And I'm like, okay, no, I'm out.
Yeah, that sounds
and
like
we're getting a little
pyramid
too
scheme.
Weird. Exactly. Yes. I'm like,
you gotta be careful. A lot of those places are like that.
I know. They're like preying upon poor people that, because Mrs. Alm wanted to talk to Mr. Alm, and I'm like, yeah. And I was like, I don't think this is the place. And she came to that realization on her own, thank goodness. Because I didn't want to make her, you know what I mean? I didn't want her to feel like that she shouldn't. I mean, I 100% think she should reach out to him if she thinks he's there to listen, but, I didn't think that was a good setting for her to do that.
Maybe not that. Maybe like a private
right.
or something.
So, yeah, and we talked about it. So I think she's going to try and find a private person to have a privately done reading instead of there. Because even she was starting to get the ick vibes from some of these people. I'm like, yeah. But it was interesting, needless to say. So that was what I did this weekend.
It was fun.
Yeah, fun. It was interesting. I'll just tell you that. All right, so, okay. So before Kara has some, a story to share with us about a missing 411, thing, and she can get into all that in a few minutes. But yeah. I wanted to spill some tea on the paranormal world and about this crazy thing that's going on that I didn't know was going on. It kind of landed in my lap quite by accident. But there is like this huge blow up of a story going on with the Conjuring house. So I don't know if I don't want to go into all of it because we can probably actually do a episode. I don't think we've ever talked about the Conjuring house yet, but we can do a whole thing on that. But basically, the Conjuring house is the house where all the Conjuring movies that you've seen, like that's a retelling of some of the stuff that's gone on there that real families experienced. And yes, there was the Perron family, and they did have some experiences there, and you can read all about it. Andrea Perron has a book out that's really good. I think it's like Shadow of Light, Shadow of Dark, something like that. It's a really good read. You should read it. It goes into great detail about everything that happened when they were living in that home, and then the stuff that happened afterwards. Like their family had a lot of fallout with each other after that whole, experience there, but that's besides the point. But anyway, so after they lived there and the house had been passed on a few times, a couple by the name of Jen and Corey Henson, and they had owned the house from, I believe they bought it in 2018 or 2018, and they ended up selling it. The reason for them to sell this, they decided to sell the house, was that Corey had been experiencing a lot of health issues, and they believe it was from the home. Like the home has a lot of energy in it, obviously, because it's one of the most haunted homes in America, supposedly. And I guess just all that energy and all that just started to make him get sick in that. So they ended up selling this house to a lady by the name of Jacqueline Nunez, May of 2022. So they sell the house to her. She takes it over. When they sold it to her, or whoever the owner was going to be, they had an agreement with the Hensons that they were not to stay in the house for more than 1 week out of the month because of all the energy in there and how badly it could affect your mental and your regular health. Okay. So, and here's where things start getting like crazy. So basically after she moves in there in May of 22, she has a couple of employees that she I guess she gained them with the purchase of the home, because the Hensons that were living there were letting paranormal investigators come to the house, and they could rent it for a night, and they could do investigations, which was fine. And things were going okay with that. So the new lady takes over, And, things seem okay. But then things just start deteriorating, especially within the last few months, starting like May. So in May of this year, in May of 2024, some former employees of Jacqueline Nunez and their families start filing complaints with the police and the state, alleging that the owner, Nunez, has harassed them or owes them a lot of money. Now, Nunez claims that the employees have stolen money from her and that that she had been committed twice. And yeah, she's basically been committed twice in the past 2 years because she it just goes off the deep end and just like is acting very erratic and crazy, and she thinks people are out to get her and stuff like that. And she believes that the reason why the people are stealing money for her and why they think that they're the ones behind having her committed, but it's not the former employees. It's actually the state and the police that are doing this because she's nuts. They're claiming that they're trying to gain control of the house. The former employees are. That's her whole spiel that she's running with. Okay, that's what she says. But wait, it gets even better than just that. So, like I said, she bought the home and she had to sign this agreement, that she shouldn't be staying there. But people think that she is staying there more than the agreed upon once a week out of each month. So in July 19th of 2024, she fired one of her employees because, get this, the previous owner of the house, who died in 1839, okay, his name was John Arnold, told her that the employee had stolen $3,000 from her business. That's all she has to go on. She has no proof. She doesn't have any paperwork on any of this. She's just being told this by a previous owner that lived there in 1839. That's 1839 people, for those keeping track. So then, August of 2024, she gets into it with Jason Hawes. Now, do you know who that is, Kara?
No.
You should know who that is.
I probably should.
You should. That is Jason from Ghost Hunters. Remember?
Oh, that guy. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, she claims that he has been trespassing on the Conjuring house property. Yes. And begins to harass him online, like goes to all of the social media stuff and starts posting crazy stuff saying that he's been using like black magic and stuff and making his body, transport over to her property to go on there and mess with her stuff. Okay? And she gets into this huge tirade with him and tells online and starts telling people, that he's working with all these I don't know, he's got demons that are working for him and all this crazy stuff. I mean, she's just really gone off the deep end. But as it turns out, one of the employees that she had fired back in July was actually his daughter. His daughter was actually working for the Conjuring house as one of the tour guides there, and she and the other employee that got fired, a guy, they had been doing experiments and stuff on the property, and when they would take people around, they were claiming that they invented some new way to speak to the spirits or something. So anyway, so she fires those two, okay, and then she goes off a deep end and starts sending all these crazy text messages to she would show up at Jason Haas's house and stuff. I mean, she was just going off the deep end. So you got all this going on. Those two are going back and forth online. I mean, he's got all these texts. You can check it out. There's YouTube videos of it. I mean, it's just insane, some of the stuff that's going on that this Nunez is claiming is going on. So then so that was and that was happening in August of this year. So now let's fast forward to September. So on September 1st of this year, comedian Matt Rife and his paranormal investigator friend Elton Castee decide to offer to buy the house off of her and settle all financial disputes between Nunez and her former employees if she wants to sell it. So Nunez, hears about this through the internet grapevine and all that stuff, and claims that she's never ever selling the house, that she's going to keep it forever and ever and ever, and then she just like starts going off the deep end again. So now here comes the really interesting, not that all that's not interesting, because it is. So just recently, as in a couple weeks ago, on October 21st of this year, Nunez got arrested for drunk driving and evading cops. Wow. So on the night of October 21st, she was driving around in a unmarked, unregistered vehicle, by the way, and got pulled and was driving very erratically, so people called it in. She ended up on a high-speed chase through the town with the cops, behind her, that lasted for like 15-20 minutes. So she finally gets pulled over. When she gets out, they can smell alcohol in her breath. Her eyes are bloodshot and glazed over, and she's acting very erratic, So, the police make her walk the line and do all that. And she's like, screaming at them that, I shouldn't be having to do this. Do you know who I am and where I live and blah, 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 blah. And so they end up arresting her there on the spot, obviously. When they throw her, though, in the back of the police, and you can see all this. They have like the police cam video of all this, by the way. It's out on the internet. So go look it up. You can just type in Conjuring house owner arrest and you'll find it. You got to check it out because she is, you can just tell that she needs help. She needs mental help really bad. So that's all I got to say. So the police, so they pull her over, they put her in the vehicle, and at first she was okay. She starts laughing while they're making her like evil maniacal laughing while they're trying to do the sobriety test with her and all that. And they're like, this is not funny. You're getting thrown in jail. And she's just sitting there laughing. And then when they put her in the car to take her away, she starts screaming at them like all this weird, crazy stuff. And, it was just nuts. And I'm like, oh my, this lady, obviously, I think the house is taking a toll on her. I really do. But the weird thing is, when anything happens, she always says, well, the house told me that. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what she's doing or what she's talking to in the house that's telling her to do things. But to me, that's a red flag. That's not a good sign. And she's very, what's the word? Like when people are very, they feel like everybody's out to get them. She feels like, everybody's out to get her and all this crazy
paranoid
stuff. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, paranoid. So I have a feeling, I think she did get out on a $2,000 bond, and she had to be in court last week on the 12th, I think, yes. So I was looking, but I didn't see anything posted yet, so I don't know what became of that or what the final verdict was with her her sentence or whatever. But I just thought it was really fascinating that all this stuff has been going on with her. And and that is not the only issues that are going on with her. Apparently it's been going on for a while, but just recently there was a group of paranormal investigators that had traveled like 1,000 miles to spend a night in the Conjuring home, and it not only did they travel 1,000 miles to get there, it cost $1,000 to stay there from like 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. So they get there and they roll up and they talk to one of the, I guess the people that helps her, and they told them that where they were parked at was fine. Well, Jacqueline comes comes to the house from wherever she was, and she like busts in and starts screaming at him about, you need to move your car, you're parked in the middle of the driveway, why are you parked? And they had gotten there late at night and it was dark already and they didn't know, and the other person had told him it was fine. So the guy ends up and hurries up and moves it, and then she's like screaming at these people that are paying money, to stay at this property, and she keeps interrupting while they're trying to do, like they were doing an EVP session. And luckily the guy left the audio on when she came in, and she was just like rude and nasty to him. And, she was just kept interrupting them with stupid stuff. And then she finally started screaming at them and telling them that they had dark thoughts and intentions. The house told her that. And, that they, she doesn't think that they should be here and all this crazy stuff. So they only stayed for like 2 hours and they ended up leaving because she was harassing them so bad. And so they wanted their money back, which I understand. I mean, you're paying, for this experience, and you're supposed to be there by yourselves, being able to conduct,
especially if you're investigating or whatever.
Yeah, and they were supposed to be investigating, but she would keep like walking in and stalking them and just, doing jump scares and crazy. I mean, she's just like freaking crazy, they said. So anyway, they're trying. So the guy, she said he got it on audio that she would pay them, reimburse them. Well, she never did. She hadn't talked to them or anything since that and won't return any of their calls or their emails or their texts or nothing. So she's in a lot of trouble. Oh, and by the way, the Conjuring house, the business portion that she, has been running, has been shut down for the time being while she's in jail settling all this stuff. So you cannot go there right now because of that. So she's basically, ruining this business that, was pretty lucrative for her because she's totally gone off the deep end. Nobody knows what's going on. Like, everybody's speculating and wondering maybe if she's been conjuring some of the spirits of the house. Haha, get it, conjuring. But, talking to some of the spirits of the house like you're not supposed to be doing and staying there, that the energy of the home is starting to change her. So it'll be interesting to see. I will keep you guys updated on what's going on with this whole story and situation as more details come out. But so far, it's a pretty crazy ride with this thing going on with the Conjuring house. So
yeah, it was pretty crazy. I can't believe it's getting shut down.
I know, right? I'm like, darn it, that's like on my bucket list.
They're ruining cool haunted places we could be investigating.
I know.
They're hurting the cause.
I know, right? I mean, it's like her bread and butter. Like, why would you do that? And like, and she's like pissing off everybody in the paranormal community to the point that nobody was actually, they're boycotting it now. Nobody wants to go there until she's not, the owner anymore. Like, people are calling for her to sell the property to somebody else. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I will definitely keep everybody up to date on that. So what are you sharing with us this week?
We're going to be talking about the disappearance of Albert Beilhartz, which, interesting enough, he went missing very, very close to where we were staying in Estes Park.
Oh, wonderful.
Like,
fun times.
I mean the cabin. You know that river?
Yeah, the river that ran behind the cabin we stayed in?
Yes, that we, like, took photos in or whatever.
Like you were walking.
Yeah, we can literally see it.
Yeah.
If we kept going up that river, eventually that river crosses with the Roaring River is what it's called. And that is the site of where this little boy went missing.
Oh, it's a little boy. I thought it was
Albert. Yeah. He went missing. So it was 4th of July weekend. So
hey, wait a minute. That's the same time the one happened in the Smoky Mountains, wasn't it?
Yeah. This one's, but it's funny because this is in the Rocky Mountains National Park,
right?
Technically.
That is crazy.
Because where it was like, because we were really close to the entrance of the park.
Right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
It's just crazy that if like that whole river system gets put into play, because at one point they thought maybe he fell in, but we're gonna talk about it. So the Beilhartz, I think it's they were traveling. They lived in Denver, but they were traveling to the Rocky Mountains National Park for the 4th of July weekend. They were gonna hike along the Roaring River, as we were talking about. So basically, they camped somewhere near there, like at the base of the river, kind of like near the junction of where those two rivers meet. And that's kind of like where they were camping. And then they took early Saturday morning, after they had breakfast, and they started hiking. And while the family was hiking, the father realized that his son, Albert, had fallen behind the group, which was the two of them, the mom and the dad. And then he stopped hiking, and then they looked around, like, trying to retrace their steps, but they could not find him. And they were hiking so we've been in that area, and we kind of know, like, how the rivers are. Like, you know how they're very, normally they're somewhere steep? Mm-hmm. Like how, like, it kind of, like, concaves in. So there wasn't really...
very rocky.
There's, like, not really places to hide.
No.
Other than, like, so, like, they were pretty easily able to be like, okay, he's not in this direction. And it was, like, in that dip of the ravine. And, like, what? Yeah. Where else is the kid gonna go?
Right.
So they realize, okay, he's not. After they retrace their steps, because they were about 30 minutes into their hike, so they weren't like super far from the camp. William is the name of the father. He runs back to the camp to like call 911 basically and get National Park Service involved. So, and if I say NPS, that's what National Park Service means, because it's a long, like a bigger
fine.
word.
Yeah, you can abbreviate.
So NPS gathered volunteers, like after they finally reached them, and they all began helping the search. And someone, while they were doing, suspected that maybe the boy fell into the river. Since they were hiking along the river. Right. So they, they did bring in search dogs for this to help track the scent of the boy, and so they tried to, basically it like hinted that the child went missing near the river, but they kept thinking that it was in the river, like the boy. So they they started focusing the entirety of the search on the river, on like the drowning aspect. Or like the supposed alleged drowning. So NPS was very concerned about the potential of the boy drowning, so they actually blocked the river so that they blocked the river. They created a dam so they could completely search the riverbed.
Oh wow.
Isn't that wild?
That is wild. I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't know you could do that either. But they end up, and then they would also were that river crossed with the Fall River we were talking about. They put like a mesh, so in case the body did end up washing through, they would catch it. Which they never did end up find any evidence of him being in the water, and they didn't find him in the bed of the thing either. The family was upset, and because they thought that he was kidnapped, not drowned.
Right, and that makes sense.
Because the water was really because it was in July, it was probably the water's really low,
right?
So I feel like it'd be easy to see if there was someone, or even I feel like you would have heard if like the kid.
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't you hear him fall into the water? You would have heard a splash or something. Right?
That's why I feel like the family was leaning more to like maybe he got kidnapped.
Yeah, I can believe that one, or he got eaten by a wolf or a coyote or something.
So they were kind of really pushing for hope, that they would start looking into maybe, hey, because he was also a 4-year-old blonde-haired boy.
He would stand out, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, walking in the woods. I mean, come
and
on.
blonde hair is like one of those like traits, that like he was that prime age of kidnapping, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So on the July 7th, this is like a few days. So you might miss it on the 2nd. So this is like 4 or 5 days. I can't do math. A searcher was looking through an empty cabin, like one that was like abandoned or whatever, near, like around the search areas where they were doing, and they found a fresh bandage, which was interesting because Albert had a fresh bandage on his foot because they just got new boots.
Oh, really? Interesting.
So they, and then of course the FBI gets involved because we know the FBI always gets involved when there's they're trying to cover up something sus. Yes. So they took custody of this evidence. And so we've never, to this day, I found out if that led to anything, or they didn't even say if it was his evidence or not.
Huh? Weird.
And the FBI won't release that because I don't think they have to.
Yeah, that sucks. Wait, even now, after it's been so many years?
Yeah, the only reason this case was gotten was because the guy filed for a Freedom of Information Act.
Really? Wait, what year was this again that this happened?
1938.
Oh, wow. Wait, so that's been a long time.
That's a while ago.
I know, you would think that
they would have something, or they would have
be able to.
They could have held it until we did have DNA. Did we already have DNA by 38? I don't think so.
No, not like today.
No, but they could have at least preserved it or something.
Yes, they could. I'm sure they had some. Yeah, that's crazy,
right? So, okay, here's where it gets even wilder because, we have to add a little craziness. There was another family, the Elses. They were walking near the Devil's Nest on Mount Chapin, which is about 6 miles from where Albert was missing. And around the time of his disappearance, they noticed a boy sitting up really high on a rock. Like, just a random child, just sitting up there on the rock. So they started hiking towards the child, because they were like, how the heck did he get up? And you know what I'm talking about, those, like, rock faces? Because he was up a mountain. And it's, like, really hard to climb up these... Yeah. Because they're, like...
They were, like, straight up.
It was just rocks, too. Like, a lot of the ground is, like, rocky, so I feel like it'd be difficult to get up to the point. So the couple was a little concerned. So they tried to hike up to the kid. Mm-hmm. When they got close, though, the kid disappeared.
Oh, that's weird. Like, just totally disappeared?
Like he
vanished, disappeared?
I mean, they were climbing up, so it seemed like he got off the rock and went somewhere else. And they believe that there was no way that a child would have been able to get up there without a parent or something. Or, like, some sort of adult to put a child up, like, how high on that mountain that they were. Huh. So, they didn't know at the time, obviously, that the child was missing since it was happening around the same time. But I think the next day was when they caught wind of the disappearance. So they talked to the MPS or whatever to tell like, what they saw. Mm-hmm. And then they were like, okay, this might have something to it. So they actually had a separate search team that was specifically searching that area when they never found anything. But still, it's very bizarre that it happened very close by. Around the same time and everything.
And he had blonde hair and everything. That's the weird part.
They didn't, I don't think it said exactly, but it's all a small child, though, just sitting up on a rock.
Right age. Anyway,
yeah, it was the right age, at least. I don't know if they described it as blonde, specifically. Okay. I don't remember if it did or not. But regardless. But yeah, that was my weird... Because that was crazy that it happened in, like, the same area that we were...
Right. And still to this day, so it's an unsolved case is what you're saying, correct?
Yeah, they have not found him since.
Wow. Have they tried looking for him, like, reopen the case and tried to...
I mean, but they can't because the FBI got involved, I believe.
Oh.
The issue is...
Are you sure it was the FBI and not Men in Black?
No, they said, at least the records say FBI.
So what is the FBI hiding that information? I don't understand.
Well, the FBI got involved to help the case, but then they never did anything.
Yeah, maybe Bigfoot got in the action. They didn't want to admit.
But it has all of the other it was kind of a weird case though because it happened kind of early. Normally, missing 411 cases are in the afternoon.
Right, like late afternoon, almost evening.
Almost like a middle, like in between lunch and dinner, kind of that period.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
But I was trying to see if I could find one, and I did, because I found a missing 411 book when I was in Oregon. And it was all about, like, the West Coast.
Book. Yeah, she found an out-of-print book, which is cool.
I did want it for my collection. And occasionally tell some of the more interesting a story or two from there. I got a cool Bigfoot book, too, so we'll probably have a Bigfoot story soon.
Yeah, cool.
It was about Ohio Bigfoot specifically. Oh, there's a video you need to watch after this. I'll have to send it to you. Yeah, about this person in Ohio. Like, they live in Columbus, Ohio, that they think that there's, like, a Bigfoot that lives in their garage.
Oh, stop it.
I'm not. I'll have to send you the video.
Yeah, but send me the video.
It's really funny. But, like it's funny, but it's sad because I think the guy really believes that there's really a Bigfoot there. But sorry, every time I think about that video, it makes me cry. All right, I don't think there's anything other spooky we have to discuss.
No, I think we're good.
We'll have a happy Thanksgiving. This will come out after, I think, right?
Yeah, but still, we can wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Have fun at the holidays. Don't get into too many fights. If anything, bring up the aliens. Just bring up the aliens. That's a safe topic. We can safely discuss aliens at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. Yeah, don't bring up politics. That's not safe at dinner.
Not ever, but not right now, especially.
Exactly. Oof. And hey, have fun at the Black Friday sales if you're going shopping on Friday.
Yep.
You can listen to us while you're shopping. Hopefully you are listening.
Yeah, that's why we posted the Black Friday episode.
Yeah, really. Okay, well, I don't have anything else to add either. So, with
All
that, we
right.
wish you
Well,
all a happy Thanksgiving.
yep. And if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast. And please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.